Good morning. Good Tuesday morning. I'm going to start a new segment, at least every once in a while, testing out the LinkedIn platform. I'm also streaming to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and do my ninja move there. Hope you're having a great start to your Tuesday, to your September. I'm doing a segment I like to call High Impact Tuesdays. All right. So my name is Frank Lavinia. I want to express my appreciation for you taking time out of your busy day to watch this. And if you're watching this live, that's awesome. Howdy. How's it going? Thanks for messaging me. In case you're wondering where the live feeds have kind of gone, I was on vacation, and I was in a place with very spotty internet. And last week was all about kind of catching up my emails and stuff like that. So rest assured, I am lining up a bunch of interesting content for Impact Quantum podcast, as well as recording some more data driven. And I am in the process of planning a third podcast. This one's going to focus on startups and innovation, put it that way. If you don't know my background, I started pretty early in my career. I left Wall Street and I worked at BarnesandNoble.com for a while. That was an interesting time and place to be in Silicon Alley. Then I kind of got reintroduced to the startup world when I was doing startup evangelism for Microsoft in the DC area. And then I continued to work with kind of policymakers and stuff to help promote innovation in various urban centers around the United States. I think that in light of the current economy, I think innovation is still going to matter and be important. So hey, Andy, how's it going? But Andy and I are, speaking of Andy is my co-host on Data Driven and Impact Quantum, and we will be recording a new show soon. But I have a bunch of meetings starting at 10. I'm running actually a hackathon, speaking of innovation, and around healthcare data. So I'm super excited to be doing that. But I wanted to kind of do a quick check-in and cover some of the things that are on my mind. So I will, and if you indulge me in a little bit of self-promotion, hang on one second while I load that up. Yes, startups are interesting. Startups are where the action. I mean, we have a certain amount of survivor bias, when we see kind of how Uber and stuff like that, and Spotify. But a lot of people don't realize that startups are not always that have that happy ending. But what's interesting is if you look at the most intriguing people in the industry, Elon Musk. People think that PayPal was his first startup. It wasn't. It was a company called Zip2 or something like that. I actually read it wasn't an autobiography, but it was a biography on Elon Musk. And it was a very fascinating story about how Elon got to be Elon. Speaking of interesting books, I just finished a book called The Everything Store, and it's about the origins of Amazon.com and kind of Jeff Bezos. So it was fascinating in the sense that they go into some interesting corners of kind of the early days of Amazon when they were competing with Barnes and Noble, and I was on the Barnes and Noble end of that of that incident. I like that idea. There's a LinkedIn group called Starting Up. It's like a baby shower for startups. That's awesome. I think that was a meme and or a quote, maybe by Elon Musk, where instead of when somebody starts a company, you have a baby shower for that startup where you kind of give them I don't know, pens, pencils, pads, gift cards, whatever. I like that idea. I like the idea that you executed on that. That is freaking awesome, and I would kindly ask for an invite on that. That would be awesome. It's Tuesday morning. I've loaded up on coffee and Dr. Pepper, hence my overuse of the word awesome. But just want to thank you all for watching this live and commenting. Yeah, it was Elon. Okay, I thought it was Elon. These things you see, these quotes on the internet, picture somebody with some text over it. I don't know. Did they really say it? I'm pretty sure Abraham Lincoln did warn us to not believe everything we see on the internet. Pretty sure. All right. So here's a couple of things that are happening. So if you don't know, I have a blog called franksworld.com. I blog quite a bit. In fact, last month, I've been blogging over 100 posts per month since January 2019. And you'll see that last month was no exception. Even though I was on vacation, it was a little close. Down from 135 to 102. That is, I blog frequently because what I see, I think there's a real need to kind of distill to be an aggregator or a filter, if you will. And I mean that in the best way, not kind of a bubble filter. But there's some interesting things going on. Here's an interesting case. Thanks, Andy. I love that. So yeah, definitely send me a link to that invite, and I will definitely help promote that group. That's pretty awesome. If you need fancy graphics and stuff, let me know. I do a lot of, if you watch, I do a lot of fancy imagery and stuff like that, and animations. In fact, let's re-roll that for the people that are just joining, calling it High Impact Tuesdays. And here comes the image. All right. So here are the things that are having impact in our world today or in the near future. Yeah, sync with me offline, or just send me a message on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to do it. Here's a couple things. One, WordPress running on .NET Core. I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, but WordPress is for, to quote one of the Batman movies, it's not the content management system we need. It's the content management system we deserve. WordPress is built on a technology called PHP, which is just a relic of a simpler time on the web. And that's all I'll say. But the idea here is that you can get WordPress running on .NET Core, and have with something called, I think it's called PeachPy. And what's interesting about that is there's a lot of plugin ideas I have for WordPress. And every time I try to learn how to code in PHP, I kind of get annoyed, right? I can take it back to when I did work on Park Avenue South for BarnesandNoble.com back in Silicon Alley. And it's just, I don't know, PHP just doesn't appeal to me. I'm sorry. I don't want to be a hater, but it is what it is. However, WordPress as an ecosystem and platform is second to none. I mean, it's free, it's powerful, it's fast. The ecosystem is enormous. Like, you want to plug in to do something, chances are it already exists. And it's just, you can't beat it. I've set up multiple websites over the years and blogs. WordPress is by far the simplest. I've run on .text. I've run on forked versions of .text, subtext. I've tried .NET Community Server or Community Server, I forget what it was called. I've tried all these other platforms. You just can't beat WordPress for kind of its simplicity. But so the ability to run it on a more modern kind of platform and stack, that is interesting. I think that has potential impact. Asynchronous programming is not something that it's just something that gave me headaches when I studied comp sci, and it caused me a lot of headaches in my professional career too. But when you see kind of how this has been modernized, both in JavaScript and C#, I think it's a really good use here. Let's see what else. Here's a really good, clear explanation of naive Bayes, which is kind of a Bayes statistics type thing that you see come up a lot. And Tachyum, Prodigy has it's a hardware tech tool that is an interesting innovation in hardware for GPUs. Let's see what else we got here. Here's two big ones. People kind of ribbed me for kind of blogging about Excel lately. Excel runs the world. Like, I know it's easy for me to be like one of those stuffy data scientists. So, well, it's not really a data analysis platform. It is a data analysis problem. In fact, it's for a lot of people, it's the gateway into data analysis. So let's not be elitists about it. We know Excel has some interesting free add-ins, and this lady's channel, I'm going to mispronounce her name, so I apologize in advance. I think it's, let's see what her name is. I'll click on that. All right, so if you're wondering why Frank Swill's been slow lately, apparently I'm a victim of my own success. I consistently getting well over 250,000 page views per month, and I'm bumping up against the hosting plan I have at SiteGround. So I need to upgrade the cost, the plan I'm on, and to that I got to upgrade my monetization strategy. So if you want to help with that, you can click on this link here. It should take you to some t-shirt designs and stuff like that. I'm also going to drop ads back in. Layla Garani has a lot of great kind of Power BI and Excel videos. And in this one, she talks about 6 of the good free Excel plugins. Excel is a great tool for a lot of data analysts. It runs the world. I mean, it's the most widely deployed CRM, ERM, everything RM, XRM technology in the world. Excel runs the world, and Excel jockeys run the world too. So don't discount it out of hand. The best thing to do is to encourage people who are dabbling in Excel to go a little bit further and get into some of the heavier data analysis tools. Here's something that I think is potentially even more, yes, absolutely. Excel runs the world for sure, for sure. Okay, Wix versus WordPress. So I actually use neither, although I've been thinking about getting on Wix for a couple other sites I'm going to launch. If you'll notice, Impact Quantum doesn't quite have a proper website yet. I actually use SiteGround. That's the great thing about WordPress is that hosting a WordPress site has become a commodity. You can do it on Azure. I saw a video last night, so it's doing it on another platform, another cloud platform I shall not mention by name. But there's a whole bunch of things that use WordPress, and the design tools around that have really gotten amazingly good. All right, so back to something I think is underrated in terms of its ability to impact the world, because we're all about high impact on High Impact Tuesdays. Robots basically. So if you've read my blog, you see me talk about this. There's I think it's a $4,000 kit. $4,000 if you have it shipped to you built, and I think it's like $2,000 worth of parts. Basically, it'll take a garden plot, I don't know, maybe 2 meters by 1 meter, or if you're on the metrics and not on the metric system, it's basically 1 yard by 2 yards. And you just basically set it up and you tell it what seeds and you program it. It's all done by Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, that sort of thing. And it will go through and kind of take care of the garden for you. It's basically fully automated. Well, somebody really amped this up, cranked this up to 11, and there's a 30-ton version, which basically could really change the way the labor market is. I think a lot of Americans don't realize how impactful or how big the labor market is for agriculture. It's not as big as it used to be. I mean, at one point, 90% of the population had some hands in food production. I think now it's down to about 2%. It's a lot less than it used to be. But you'll notice when they give out the jobs reports, they have non-farm payrolls because farm jobs tend to be seasonal. What's interesting here is, what if it becomes completely automated? And you're starting to see kind of the rise of automation because, people don't touch it, right? Which is interesting. Which could be an interesting corollary from the corona pandemic. And is the notion that automation is going to be more desirable. Think about it. Would you want a person cooking your food in the midst of a pandemic? Or would you rather have a robot that's been kind of, sanitized and cleaned? I don't know. I think that's interesting. Whatever psychological barriers that we had before towards automation and robots, I think by creating a world filled with germaphobes, I think is going to alter that equation. The question is, how much is it going to hit the tipping point or not? But I mean, if this scales out, and it's more or less, and once something hits the Wall Street Journal, it's kind of mainstream. People will debate me on that, but it is what it is. So I would say this is going to, it's right, wait, no, there. This is going to change things, I think, more than we think. Obviously, a lot of this depends on how well this can scale, how economies of scale can kind of change the cost structure and things like that. But this is going to, even if you replace say 10 to 15% of the agricultural workforce, that may not sound like a big deal, but agricultural workforce tend to be people that go out and pick stuff. They tend to be on the lower end of the skills spectrum. This could have significant impact on the labor market and how lower income families, feed themselves. So this is an interesting thing here. A lot of interesting innovations in agriculture in terms of robotics. There's a tag I recommend you follow called Agritech. So check that out. So that's it for me. I have to skedaddle and prep for my hackathon starting in just half an hour. But I thought I would just share some ideas and things that are kind of top of mind for me and that are going to have a significant outside, dare I say, all right, I promise I won't abuse the graphics too much. So thanks for watching. If you're watching live, thank you. And thanks for your questions. I think I know who this is, but I can't switch over to LinkedIn without messing up the system. But definitely I will be, I'll be in touch with with this and some other ideas I have. I always try to respond to comments, and you